Ever since humanity entered the galactic stage, we've been making waves. Every species on the Council was fascinated by our technological evolution and how it defied the norms of the galaxy. You see, other species have never really thought about standardized parts or connections. Much of their shipbuilding capacity is run by what I can only describe as guilds. Each ship was a masterwork, only able to be repaired, refitted, or upgraded by the specific guild workshops. We made a mess of that. Our ships couldn't compete on a one-to-one footing. Not at first, especially with the laws restricting what tech we could have access to, so that we could make our own path and other such nonsense. However, our ships were comparatively cheaper, much easier to repair, refit and retrofit. For example, an Akeri craft outmatches us in speed and agility, but it is expensive to maintain, as you must have an Akeri guildsman to look over the craft and fix it, which often means cracking and replacing the polymer shell of the craft. Human ships had only 55% of the speed, but for the same price as a repair on an Akeri craft, you could get 4 new ships made of common resilient alloys like steel and tungsten, with simple ceramic heat sinks, all of which could be repaired within a week due to the fact that every ship was made so that entire sections were detachable and replaced with a functioning section. And the part that got the guilds fuming? All of this could be done not by master shipbuilders or guildsmen, but by ordinary tradesmen of any race with access to relatively simple tools. While, yes, those tradesmen still needed some training, it wasn't a lifetime of schooling under masters just to become the equivalent of interns for most of a decade. You didn't need to be an engineer to fix or modify human ships. You just needed, on average, a 2 to 4 year course at a vocational school, much of which was spent familiarising the students with the tools, safety regulations, and how to troubleshoot and figure out what an issue was and how to get to it. And usually, the engineers that had designed the human ship had already thought of how to get a full-sized human there, let alone the number of smaller species hanging about the galaxy. With this also came ease of customization. With guild ships, you had to hope you could afford a newer one when yours became obsolete. With human ships, you could replace the reactor and engines with a number of different models. You could enlarge, elongate, or configure the ships how you needed, upgrade individual sections with newer tech, and if the connections had changed since you bought it, well, a number of companies sold adapters. To this day, there are Gen 1 TerraCorp ships in service, something that on Earth would be a museum piece, the equivalent of a triumph among steamboats, and you wouldn't even notice under all the new tech that's been crammed into it. The guilds still exist, almost 200 years on, but they've been forced to change. It's slow going with a lot of the heads of the guild still disdaining human designs for their inferiority. But most of their members have grown up surrounded by our ideas. A recent poll found that a large number had even said their first personal craft was human. Hell, even the new supercarrier from the Golsar Shipbuilders Guild recently had an internal scandal when it was discovered that a number of their designers were incorporating TerraCorp circuits and Samsung holo devices into the damn thing. What I want you to understand is this. A jack of all trades and master of none is still better than a master of one. We may never master the speed of the Akeri, the strength and armor of the Golsar, or even the detection capacity of the Siren, but we don't have to. We just have to be good enough at everything they aren't. Sunwoo James, CEO of TerraCorp, and a broadcast to all TerraCorp's employees.